welcome back. Welcome back to the Game Smash Podcast. As always, I'm your host, William Liberty, and with me is...
Fawaz Muhammad Yusuf.
And we're back after a bit of a hiatus. And we're back with the VGAs. The VGAs of 2017. So, a bunch of stuff happened at the VGAs this year. We got the Zelda Champions Ballad DLC got showcased. We got Soul Calibur 6 was announced. Bayonetta 3 was teased, plus 1 and 2 coming to the Switch, which I knew it was coming. Like, it was inevitable. Death Stranding got a big, long trailer. From Software showed a teaser. Sea of Thieves got a release date, and Dreams also got a trailer along with its release date coming in 2018. But before we get into that, let's talk about what we played this week. So I played the wonderful game of moving into my new apartment. The final boss was convincing my landlord to get a converter set up in his room. So this is the weird thing, is that I have never seen anyone put their modem in their... Most people, they put their modem in their basement, or they put their modem on, like, the main floor, right? Yeah. His modem is in his bedroom. And I was just like, why? Why would you put it there? That makes no sense. Like, anyway, so that was fun. I had to like convince him that just please let me set this up, because dear God, I don't want to have to pay $80 for my own internet to have some semblance of wired. But so he was pretty cool. He was pretty cool about it. So I was like, so that worked out. Invited a couple people over. We played. Me and my buddies. We played Arms. Arms had a big update. They added a new character. So for those who know about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, this character they just copied Star Platinum. Like, literally, this is the most, like, this character looks exactly like Star Platinum. It's hilarious. Like, it was just so funny, because the moment I saw him, I was like, he is literally, they just took it from JoJo. They just literally took him from JoJo. It's amazing. And he has his name is Manango, I think. And he's an Aztec. He's an Aztec fighter. And he has, like, a pretty cool gimmick in which you have to, like, power your fists by hitting a little spirit that kind of floats around you to kind of absorb the spirit. And when you do, you get different types of buffs depending on when you do it. So if the spirit is green, you get like a speed boost. If the spirit is yellow, you gain meter faster. If the spirit is red, you deal more damage. So
What's
it's kind
his
of Menango, I think. I think it's Menango, I think. Just so you could type in Arm's new character and he'll probably show up. He looks pretty cool. Excuse me. So we played a bunch of that. That was really fun. I'm really glad that they added this new system called the badge system. So basically what they did in an update is that they added Masango. I'm sorry. They added an update badges, which is basically achievements. So it's like, get this many arms in the game, win on this particular map, this particular way, right? And I think they did this because one of the biggest complaints I had about arms is that it's very difficult to actually get arms. Because it's a bit of a grind. Like, you only get about, I want to say, 4 credits per match. And you essentially have to play, like, a Smash Brothers type, like, mini game in which you hit targets. And after you hit a certain amount of targets, you have to hit this little, like, present box. And that gives you a random arm that a character can use, right?
Okay.
So that's how you kind of keep playing the game to collect more arms, right? Now, the problem I have with this is that to play this mini-game, like, you have to spend a lot of credits to even get to this mini-game, right? You have to spend 30 credits to get 30 seconds in this little shooting range. So it takes a long time to get new arms, but with the badge system, you basically gain like 40 credits by unlocking achievements, or like 100 credits for unlocking bigger ones or harder to get ones. So it's a way to get credits a lot faster. So I'm glad that they added that, because it was a bit of a grind for a while. Other than that, I don't know if I talked about this, but on the last podcast, but I replayed Doki Doki Literature Club with my sister. So we replayed that. That was really fun. She liked the game a lot too, but we both had like the same, like, it's an interesting discussion about that game. I won't go too much into it, but basically it's a discussion, and you would have an. I think if you played the game, you would probably have an interesting take on this. It's like, is it worth how long it takes to get to the really crazy shit? You know, because it's like the game is relatively normal for like the first 3 hours. Well, I mean normal by like visual novel standards.
Okay.
So yeah, you could take that with a grain of salt. But basically, it's like, but when you get to that point, the game I feel is really effective because of the wait. But some people, I think, the wait is a little bit too long, you know, to get to that point. So it's an interesting discussion to have. But she enjoyed it as well. It was fun replaying it because we went down a different route, so I got to see stuff that I'd never seen before. And it's really fun replaying that game because you start seeing the clues that you should have seen sooner. And that's always a lot of fun, where you're like, wow, I should have got that. That's a red flag and a half. I should have caught that like the moment that it happened, you know? So that was really a lot of fun. The only other thing I did was I played Overwatch. I finally got to play Moria and the New Mercy. Moria is a lot of fun. I really her kind of like energy ball game reminds me a lot of like kind of like timing your shots with Symmetra.
Yes.
She excels on maps in which there's like tight corridors in which you can just bounce those energy balls like crazy. So she's I don't think she's really bad on open maps. Like she's quite terrible on open maps. And that's personally how I feel when I was playing her, because I was playing her on like, I forget what map it was. I think it was the Junkrat one. The Junkertown, and I was just getting my ass handed to me. But she's a lot of fun. Still kind of trying to learn her ultimate, because I feel like with her ultimate, you kind of like feel that it's a lot more powerful damage wise than it actually is, and it's not really. But she's pretty fun. I enjoyed her. Mercy's rework. So that was interesting, to say the least. So the speed boost, her normal speed nerf was not as bad as I had originally thought it was going to be. I still feel that you can still if your team is not a bunch of potatoes, you can position yourself relatively well to kind of like move and still make it relatively difficult. I think they need to drastically change the channel time, or they need to rework the channel time, because the fact that now that you have to channel to use her revive, it makes her actively less fun to play. Like, actively less fun. And it sucks, because I understand why it's there. It's there so that the ultimate means more, and it just means that she takes... It means that basically she's in a much weaker state when she's not in her ultimate form, right? So the whole point is that you're saving your ultimate for the team fights, right? So that she's not, like, just sustaining out the wazoo. But I find that just the channel time, it's similar to how it's the reverse of how I didn't like playing Roadhog for the longest time, because I hated just sticking in one spot and taking a swig to heal, right? So I really enjoyed playing him when he got the ability to move and heal. I felt that made a big, big difference. So here, being locked into place and for like almost like 2 seconds, like, it sucks. It really, really sucks. And I understand the balancing reasons for it. They make perfect sense, but I find that she's a lot less fun to play. I'm still playing her because she'll always be my main. So maybe I have to get used to her new style of play, because she feels completely different. Like that patch, she feels completely different. Like, that patch has made her almost like a different character, in my opinion. As someone who has played 100 hours of Mercy, she feels incredibly different with that patch. But overall, that's all I've been doing, just boring apartment stuff. But what about you, Fawaz? I've been rambling for a while. What did you do?
Dude, have you even played 100 hours of Overwatch?
I might be exaggerating. I feel... No, I don't think that's an exaggeration to a certain extent, because... No, I probably played like 50 or 60 hours. I want to say that's more reasonable around. I think my mercy is like 37.
37 hours.
37 hours of mercy. Yeah. I think.
So just a slight exaggeration.
Just a slight. Have I ever exaggerated in the past, Fawaz? Really?
I guess not. You know, so you're entitled to one. But anyway, as for what I played this week, so I happen to play this game that somebody else on this podcast is quite fond of, called Monster Hunter. I don't know if you've ever heard of this game.
Never. It's so painful, and I have to explain to the audience that I have been so busy today, and the beta came out, that I haven't gotten to play the beta yet. I haven't even got to see the startup screen.
Yeah. So you see, I was smart, and I preloaded my beta, and also I traded my shift today at work.
Damn it! I should have done that. My boss my boss told me he needed me to come in. It sucks. All right, tell me about Monster Hunter. Tell me about Monster Hunter, man.
Okay, so it's fun so far. I'm messing around with a couple of weapons. So how it works is that there's 3 quests. You can fight this one big lizard type thing, and then you can fight this dude who's like made of rocks, and then you can fight this T-Rex looking dude. And those are the 3 main quests. Each one is progressively more difficult, but it's not open. There's no hub world or anything. You just load up the quest. You go in. You search for the monster. You fight the monster. You kill it. So those 3 quests aren't too bad. I beat the first 2 in my first attempt, and then it took me. So with the third one, the T-Rex dude. So while he was running away, he ran and he disturbed the Rathalos' nest. So then Rathalos whooped his ass. But then he runs away, and then Rathalos is beating me up, and I'm like, dude, like I didn't want no part of this. And then I couldn't find the T-Rex guy, and then I ran out of time because the demo was timed. If I ran out of time, Rathalos killed me, but it's probably I ran out of time. I think.
Well, the quests do actually have time limits.
Even in the final game.
Yeah, even in the final game, like there might be like a specific demo timer, but even in the final game, usually it's about. I think it's supposed to be about like 50 to 60 minutes to complete a quest. It's so that the reason why they do that is so that you can't like find an exploit and just spend 2 hours by beating a monster that you really shouldn't be able to beat.
Okay.
That's the main reason.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah, the time limit kind of. I mean, right now the time limit is 20 minutes, so it kind of sucks.
Oh, 20 minutes. That's unusual. It won't be like that in the base game.
Yeah. So you're just like rushing through and trying to. I mean, people still found a way. Like I've seen people who like killed one dude because the stage that has Rathalos in it has the little lizard guy, has the T-Rex, and it has Rathalos. So I saw this one dude kill all 3 of them in one playthrough. So maybe I just need to get good. And then the rock stage has this other gentleman. I don't know if he's a returning monster, but his name is Diablos.
Oh, Diablos. Yeah, he's returning.
Yeah. So I found him by mistake. I knew Rathalos was in the demo, but I didn't know Diablos was in it. So I found him by mistake. And I pretty much just call him El Diablos because he whooped my ass. It was pretty bad.
So this is great as someone who knows Monster Hunter. Watching someone who doesn't know Monster Hunter learn for the first time how much Diablos ain't someone you want to fuck with.
To be fair, if you just look at him, you can tell he isn't someone you want to mess with because he's got like these big ass horns and his body is covered in spikes and he's hitting on the ground too. And I'm like, okay, this dude isn't even part of this demo, so he's probably not the one. And he was not. It's funny because me and my friend. So here's a quick question: do monsters heal in this game?
Monsters heal?
Do they scale?
Scale.
So if I fight a monster solo and I fight it with a friend.
Oh yes, it does. So like a monster that you fight with 4 people will have different health numbers than a monster you fight with like 2 people, or a monster that you fight with 1. Like so.
That makes perfect sense. But yeah, the first time I fought Diablos, I fought him with my friend who was literally this was literally his first time playing the game, and it was a shit show. I got like, I want to say one hit KO'd, but I got KO'd so fast. I was just like, huh. And then, but anyway, all in all, it's pretty fun though. So I beat the three main monsters. So I'm gonna try and right now I'm using the hammer. I started off using the switch axe. No. The sword shield that turns into an axe. What's that?
Charge blade. Charge blade.
The charge blade. But then I was just looking at it. I was like, this weapon is too complicated. So then I switched to the gun lance. That was pretty fun. But I didn't feel like I was doing enough damage. So then I switched to the great sword. That was also a good bit of fun. But then finally, I switched to the hammer, and I think I'm gonna stick with the hammer.
Yeah, hammer bro. You're gonna be a hammer bro.
Yeah, it's just a lot of damage. You know, and you can charge while you're running, which is just great, which is just perfect for me. So I dodge the monster, I run around in circles, and then I knock him unconscious with a quick swing.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fun. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a try. Try to beat at least one of Diablos or Rathalos before the beta ends. I just beat the T-Rex guy before we started recording the podcast.
Nice.
The other two are really easy. I was having issues beating the rock guy, but I was doing it with my friend. So
honestly, like the rock guy, I'm assuming he has like probably a similar moveset to the other games. The rock guy's hard. He's called the Baroth. He was the wall. He was one of the walls that I had to face back when I was playing like 3. Because the way his tail swipe works is a little bit weird, in which is position wise, and also the ability to kind of crowd control people with mud is also a very effective way of getting KO'd real fast.
Yeah, the biggest issue for me was just that his head was not his weak spot, so that threw me off. I tried to hit his head and my sword would just bounce right off.
Yeah, no, everything about him is just like his head is his weapon. Like that's the deal. It is weird. But apparently in the base, when this is something that I don't think any of the demos or any of the news outlets have talked about, which I think is going to be super cool, is that in the base game, this has never been a feature in Monster Hunter, and it saves so much time, is that there will be ways to get information about where the weak points are on monsters.
Oh,
like, just flat out, you can get a book or an item that will tell you, aim for the stomach, aim for the tail, aim for the wing, you know? So it gives you a lot of information that way.
But yeah, so I mean, all in all, so far so good. I mean, it's a decent amount of fun, and you know, the actual fun part isn't even in the game. You know, like killing the monsters and then using them to make armors and weapons. So yeah, you know, it's definitely promising. I was worried that I wouldn't enjoy it because that main part of the game was missing. But yeah, and I played it solo too. I played it a bit with my friend, and it was fun. But neither of us really knew what we were doing. He kept accidentally like throwing me with his sword, and we're just like, how does this keep happening?
Honestly, that is something that kind of does happen. Ever since they added the ability to your co-op partner can launch you in the air by accident, it's sort of been kind of a thing that just happens from time to time. But honestly, the cool thing about that though is that if you're coordinated, your buddy can launch you into the air, and then you could do like a sick aerial attack.
Yeah, the aerial attacks are pretty fun. But all in all, yeah, so far so good. I'm gonna try out Diablos, and then I don't know who's harder, Diablos or Rathalos. Just generally.
Diablos by a mile. Because the thing about the Diablos was just something which is like, if you haven't fought him long enough, he has a very long rage mode, and when he goes into rage mode, he becomes so much faster and a lot harder to deal with. But yeah, I would say if you're doing this in order, have you beat Rathalos yet?
No, I haven't beat Rathalos.
I would say try beating Rathalos first, and then go to Diablos. Cause
I might switch to the bow for Rathalos because he flies a lot, and I don't know how I'm gonna get him with a hammer while he's flying. So I don't know. But yeah, so far it's a decent amount of fun, and like I've mostly just been playing solo because you weren't around. And Jason wasn't around, so
are you free tomorrow? Just out of curiosity.
A little bit, not a lot. Work and school.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, if you were available sometime, we could meet up. I'm probably gonna try and play a little bit tomorrow, either online with Scrubs or by myself. We'll see. We'll see. But do you want to kick it off with the VGAs?
let's kick it off with the VGA. So the VGAs happened, or the Game Awards as they're called now, because they keep changing their name. So the Game Awards happened over the weekend, and so I think I mentioned last year, and if I didn't mention this last year, I should have, that the Game Awards has had an interesting trajectory. Because originally the show itself was awful. Like, it was so awful and so cringe-inducing that I watched most of it in mute. And I literally just watched it for the reveals. Because they used to have really good reveals. You know, like Skyrim was revealed there. The Last of Us was revealed there. God of War 3 had its first gameplay reveal there. So they used to have really, really good exclusives. Then something happened when the new generation started. There was a bit of a cross. So the award show itself got really good. You know, they stopped trying to be cool and, you know, meme and stuff like that, and it's just tried to just be a good show. And it became a really good show, but the reveals got really bad. I used to joke about how every year it was just a bunch of Telltale games revealed.
Well, what happened was that we got PSX, and PSX was the worst. PSX was literally the worst, not even by like show standards, but like a technical standpoint. But yeah, you are right in the sense where it's like, it kind of fluctuated in weird directions, you know?
Yeah. So like last year, for example, we just got okay, whatever. Let me not even get into that. However, this year was the show itself. First of all, was really good. So it opened up with a nice performance by this orchestra, and they played a bunch of different video game themes. They played the Persona 5 theme, which reminded me that I really need to finish Persona 5 one of these days.
One day.
And then they went through a bunch of themes, and then, you know, they had actual, because they used to do this thing where they would have like celebrities coming, but celebrities that had nothing to do with video games. However, now they had like actual industry people coming in to give awards. The only celebrity there was Andy Serkis, and I'm like, if there's any celebrity...
Yeah, you know, and to be fair, Andy Serkis is like the lead when it comes to motion capture performance, so yeah, I could give him some slack. And technically, he was in a video game. He was in, oh my god, what was that game? It was like an Odyssey game. I forget.
Oh wait, I mean he was in what's this game called? Ironically enough, so he was giving the performance award, which Hellblade won.
Yeah.
And he was in Heavenly Sword. There we go. So there you go. That's 6 degrees of September. Yeah. But anyway, as far as reveals this year was insane. Okay. Now if I have one complaint about the reveals, it was that for me anyway, they peaked too early. So I'm just gonna get right to it. No pointing. So Soul Calibur 6, I've been waiting for this game for so long. The second they revealed Soul Calibur 6, I stopped watching the award show. I just after they revealed it, I was like, well, I'm done. We've peaked. Nothing they're going to reveal the rest of this show is going to top this. And sure enough, nothing. I couldn't even think of anything. Even Half-Life 3, I wouldn't care as much as Soul Calibur 6. So
it's funny you say that, because it's like I'm just happy to see Soul Calibur back, because it was like on such a hiatus for so long that I was like, it was on a. Well, when was Soul Calibur 5? When did that one come out?
5 years ago.
Jeez, it's been a while.
It's been a while. And Soul Calibur, I didn't play Soul Calibur 5. So the last Soul Calibur that I played was 4, which came out 10 years ago.
Jeez.
Let's even say 8.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I played it for like a year or two. So it's been 8 years since I had my hands on a Soul Calibur. It's insane. So, yeah, man, when the dude comes on stage and he just, you know, he says a bunch of shit about Tekken 7, and I'm like, okay. Then he's like, okay, I'm ready to start working on a new game. And I'm like, could it be? And he's like, okay, before I leave the stage, I have one question for you. Do your soul still burn? And I swear, when he asked that question, I woke my neighbor. I promise you, I woke my neighbor up, because I lost it. I was like, and it's coming. So they revealed the game. Just some quick details about the game, because I can go on forever right now.
Right.
So the only characters that are confirmed right now are Mitsurugi and Sophitia. In the trailer, they look really young. Like, Mitsurugi looks the youngest he's ever been. So apparently, this one game, Soul Calibur 6, the story is going to revisit events that happened in the original Soul Calibur, but it's not like a reboot. Because at the end of the trailer, they tease a brand new character. You see some character holding like a Darth Maul type twin blade. Yeah. So it's not going to be like a straight up reboot. There's going to be new characters in it.
Right, makes sense.
And the story, it might do the MK9 thing, where the story takes part in the past and in the present or whatever. We're going to see. As far as gameplay, Meter is back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if EXs are back, but if Leader is back, EXs are probably back. Supers are back. There's a new mechanic called it's like a parry type of mechanic. You see Sophitia doing it in the trailer where she blocks a bunch of Mitsurugi stuff. Her weapon starts to glow red, and then she uses it to do like a big burst of damage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be interesting to see more of that. And yeah, we're just gonna have to wait till what's this
Yeah.
thing called Evo Japan in January.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
start
yeah,
getting
yeah.
more information. But yo, new Soul Calibur. I didn't think it was gonna happen,
Yeah,
but here we are.
I mean, like, I was glad to see it because I was like, you know what, now's the time. You know, like it felt like, you know, there had been a long enough gap between the last one, and of course, long enough gap for you because you didn't play a Soul Calibur since 4. That it was like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what, this is the time. This is the time to bring Soul Calibur back, and I was happy to see it, and I was happy to see yeah, the crowd was going nuts, like they were happy to see. And I will say this. Even though I know very little about Soul Calibur, I do know about that announcer. And what is the line he says that's amazing in the trailer? Welcome to the stage of history.
Oh, he says all sorts of like random shit like that. Transcending history and the world.
Yeah.
A tale of souls and swords.
Yeah.
Eternally retold.
He's great. That narrator is great. He is fantastic. So,
one last little bit of trivia. So about Soul Calibur.
Mm-hmm.
So I started playing fighting games competitively in 2009.
Right.
Soul Calibur 4 came out in 2008. So I've never played a Soul Calibur competitive. This will be the first Soul Calibur that I've played competitively. So this is it's gonna be like a brand new game for me because like, you know, when you play a game casually with your siblings versus when you're playing it in tournaments, it's like a completely different game.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited for that. But yeah, you know, like that was good shit. Other than that, the other stuff that they revealed, there was a bunch of minor stuff that they revealed. So they showed the DLC for Zelda. I don't know if you want to talk about
that was cool. So I had this funny moment with that trailer because I was talking to. Okay, no, I'm gonna get to that because that was the most ridiculous fucking thing I've ever seen, and it was amazing. It was so amazing. Oh my god. My jaw hit the floor, and I was like, this might be the most ridiculous thing in Zelda history. That motorcycle might actually be it. Like 25 years of Zelda, that is the most ridiculous thing. And I was like, but seeing him just motorcycle up like the hill, I completely understand why they had something like that in the game, because it's like, that's just to speed up travel time. Like, instead of just teleporting, like, you can always fast travel, but you're limited to certain locations. So the fact that you can just have a really fast, just like on the ground travel I think that's why they put that in there. So that's gonna be really, really awesome. But yeah, no, the trailer was really, really good. I liked that Anuma, I think, yeah, Eiji Anuma, he got on stage. He was trying to recreate the Twilight Princess thing, and it wasn't as good as when that happened, but I was happy to see him do that because he's such an old guy, but he's doing goofy things like swinging a Master Sword around. So it's like he's like child at heart kind of deal, which always makes me happy to see that he's so happy to be working in the industry he's in. So yeah, the trailer was good. Got to see some more clips of the champions, which is where the main plot of Breath of the Wild kind of is all centered around. Okay. I really hope. I'm a little bit concerned that. Now, I saw clips of what I presume to be New Game Plus, but now I'm a little bit worried. I haven't actually spoiled it yet, but I'm worried that it's just going to be... It's DLC that is not tied to after completing the game content. Because one of the things I complained about the most about Breath of the Wild was that I felt that the reason why you don't care about Zelda in that Zelda game is because you don't actually get to... She's not actually there as a participant in the story because she's there via flashbacks. And that kind of sucks. And I'm worried that it's just going to be more of that. But on the plus side, that means more cutscenes with the champions, because the champions are the coolest characters in the game. So that was really, really cool. But the funny moment that happened was I was talking with my buddy. I was like, they said holiday release, and the year is almost over, so when are they going to drop this? And then my buddy was like, we're talking about, was like, I feel like Nintendo, like other companies like Sony or Capcom or EA, God forbid, you get a million trailers for when their DLC comes out. Like DLC coming out 6 months from now, 4 months, 2 months, 1 week, right? And Nintendo was just being so quiet about this. So when it said out now, I was just like, wow, okay. Alrighty. And the funny, you know what the funniest and most saddest part about that coming out now is that I currently don't have my copy of Breath of the Wild on me.
Oh, who'd you lend it to?
I lent it to my buddy from work. So now I'm texting him like, please, I need my copy back. And he was like, you watched the VGAs, didn't you? I was like, yes, I watched the VGAs. But yeah, so that was really, really cool. Other Nintendo news, Bayonetta 3. Bayonetta 3 got a sick teaser.
Yeah, Bayonetta 3. Okay, so 1 and 2 got ported to the Switch, and 3 is being developed exclusively for the Switch. So here's the thing. The only reason why Bayonetta still exists is because of Nintendo, right? Nintendo.
Oh, I can hear the salt. I can hear it. Ah, yes.
Sega was ready to give up on the franchise, and Nintendo saved it. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean I have to be happy about the fact that I'm never going to play.
You're never gonna. Yeah. There is a very simple solution to this problem, but no, it's just never gonna get it.
I'm not buying a console for one game.
There are other games on this console. For two.
Yeah,
okay, what is the limit? Is it 3 or is it 4?
He's got jokes. Yeah.
I mean, I understand your pain because you know what you're feeling for was? You're feeling the pain that I have with Monster Hunter. Where Monster Hunter has not stayed on the consoles that I need it to stay on for like years. That's what you're feeling. That's what you're feeling right now. But honestly, when I saw the 1 and 2 coming to the Switch, I was like, yeah, that I knew was coming. Like that made the most sense. Just port it to the more popular Nintendo console, right? It's not like a leap in logic to port the Wii U version to the Switch, right? So that made sense. The teaser was pretty cool. Like Bayonetta gets the shit kicked out of her by some like mysterious force.
What breaks my heart with this is that if it's a situation like so the reason why I don't miss Zelda is because I've never actually played a Zelda because Zelda has always been exclusive to Nintendo, right?
Right.
If Bayonetta had started off as a Wii exclusive, we wouldn't have this problem because I would have never played Bayonetta and I wouldn't miss it, right?
Right.
But now, I played the first one, I loved it, and I'm like, oh, great, can we have a sequel? And they're like, yeah, you can have a sequel on the Wii U. And it's like, oh, okay, can we have a threequel then? Yeah, you can have a threequel on the Switch. So yeah, like I said, shout out to Nintendo for keeping the franchise alive, but yeah.
No, but no jokes. I understand. Like that sucks because it's like, yeah, for people like, for example, it's like realistically, it doesn't make sense for you to buy the Switch yet because there's not enough games to warrant the purchase. Personally, for you, so it's like it sucks that the game that I want really badly is just on a console. Like, I've had that happen before. Like, I really want to play Killer Instinct, but I'm not going to buy an Xbox One just to play Killer Instinct, Like,
yeah.
But that is a bit of a bummer. But I was glad to see it. Glad to see Nintendo show some stuff at the VGAs. So, are we gonna just jump into the Death Stranding trailer, I guess?
Okay, do you want to go first or should I go first?
I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't have a whole lot to say about it.
Because it doesn't show anything.
Well, I'm gonna get to my counterpoint about that. So, it's a story trailer. It's a Kojima story trailer. That's what it is. And for you who said that it doesn't show anything, it actually does show a lot. It just doesn't show gameplay, which I understand is your biggest pet peeve when it comes to these trailers. It shows that this is way more hard sci-fi than I was expecting. I didn't really know if this was a weird psychological modern shooter, if it was being an Evil Within kind of deal. But seeing the suits come out with those weird trackers and stuff like that, I was like, okay, so this is like a hard sci-fi kind of game, which makes sense because that's Kojima's niche. So that was a pretty. I did like seeing the aliens because those aliens are fucking cool. Like they look really really cool to me, and I think it's just like there's certain like I liked what was the moment in the trailer I really enjoyed. I liked the moment in the trailer where everyone just started floating, and like the music got like really really techno, and like but like a particular type of synth that I really really get a kick out of. So I got a kick out of that. The most Kojima fucking thing in the world was like the camera going inside Norman Reedus, a shot of a random baby, and then going back out of Norman Reedus, and then he said, I was like, yeah, that's Kojima. That is the most Kojima thing I've ever seen. Because only Kojima, and that's where I'm like, I have to give the credit to Kojima. And this is similar as where it's like I appreciate Kojima and Yoko Taro for telling really weird stories. Where it's like there's certain trailers that when they come out where it's like you just like, oh, okay, this is like a thing about like the Assassin's Creed trailers, for example. It's like, oh, Assassin's Creed Origins, it's a revenge story like every other Assassin's Creed game. I can tell that by 30 seconds in the trailer. It's gonna show a bunch of shots of the family getting killed or the wife getting killed or the kid being killed, and then it's gonna cut to him putting the hood up. So I pretty much know what kind of story I'm getting. So, at the very least, with the way that they're advertising this game, I'm very curious what kind of story he's going to try and tell with this. That being said, I do wish that there was gameplay, because it has been a while. Technically, it has been a year, and we still haven't gotten gameplay. And yes, I agree with you 100%. That is incredibly frustrating, because it's like, I want to see what this game is actually going to play as. I like that we're seeing... Yeah, I like that we're seeing... Sorry, what are you... Sorry, I cut off.
Sorry, a year? What they announced in 2015? It was announced in
No, I'm talking... Sorry, I'm talking the last time we saw it. Last time we officially saw it was last year. No, it got announced in 2015. Yes, you are correct. Yeah. Honestly, that's really all I have to say about it. It was nice seeing Reedus and Kojima, back together on stage, because it's like... I think the reason why I'm giving this game a lot of slack is because of how badly Konami fucked them with Silent Hills. So I'm glad that he's finding success. But anyway, Fawaz, what did you think of the trailer?
The only thing I can say about it is that it just feels so pretentious, It's like... You know these directors, the auteur directors who make their movies.
Yeah.
They make those movies that nobody understands, and they're like, oh, but this is my vision, right? And then they're just like, oh, let me just throw a bunch of... Okay, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. When the game actually comes out, if the game actually comes out, I'm sure all of this will make sense, right?
Yes.
In hindsight.
Yes.
But right now, it just feels pretentious. It just feels really, really pretentious. And here's the thing, right? Here's the big thing for me. And this isn't just a Death Stranding thing. This is a video game thing in general. I criticize CD Projekt Red, a developer that I love. I criticize them every single time they come out and they talk about Cyberpunk 2077. Because I'm like that. Show, don't tell. That is the core element for me of like anything, actually. Show, don't tell. Don't come out and tell me about how much fun this video game is, Don't come out and tell me about, how good this movie is going to be. Show it to me or shut up, right? So for me, I'm like, okay, the trailer comes out, right? Mm-hmm. Prior to the trailer, we knew absolutely nothing about this game. After watching the trailer, we still know absolutely nothing about it.
We know more than we did before.
Okay, what do we know?
We know what the enemy we're facing is going to be using invisibility. We know that the most likely your character is going to be using the tracking suit. We know that the concept of the Big Bang and being multiple explosions of life and death are going to be a big core concept of the game. We know that those big fucker aliens are going to be way more important than we originally thought. Like, I thought those things were small in the original trailer, but they were massive in this gameplay trailer. We know we're gonna definitely be dealing with gunplay, which is obvious, but we do know a little bit more, but definitely not the degree that you obviously want, which I understand.
Well, not the degree. I mean, most of the things you listed here are like vague concepts of like, theme, like. Oh, am I lying? No, am I lying though?
No, I know you're like I understand where you're coming from. No, I'm not. I'm
Yeah,
not trying.
it's a situation where it's like okay, so what is the point of that trailer, right? Okay, yeah, I
Hmm.
understand the point. Oh, to keep the hype train growing and everything, right? But for me,
Yeah.
I'm like that. Okay, first of all, like I'm of the mind that if you're announcing a new IP, you announce it with gameplay or don't announce it at all.
Right. Yeah.
For me personally, right? So if
Hmm.
you're announcing a brand new IP, Soul Calibur 6, Metroid 4, it's kind of, I mean, when Nintendo announced Metroid 4 with a title card, I gave them a pass because I'm like,
Hmm.
it's Metroid.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody, if Valve comes out, they're like, oh, we have a new game we're working on, and it just shows a title card that says Half-Life 3.
Yeah.
I'll give you a pass because that's Half-Life 3, right?
Right.
That was Battlefront. When that was announced and they announced it with a CGI trailer, I was like, whatever, I'll give them a pass. But when you're announcing a
Okay.
new IP, you announce it with gameplay or don't announce it at all. Okay, sure. Sure.
Hmm.
First year, we're like, okay, we just want to announce this new IP. That's fine. 2016, we're like, okay, let's show a CGI trailer of this new IP. That's fine. Now it's 2017. Oh, more CGI trailers of this new IP. I'm like, at some point, you guys are either going to just need to sit down in this room and work on this because every time I post a comment talking about how okay where is some game and people are like oh but the game is still early in development I'm like no fucking show it to me until it's not early in development, right?
Yeah, no, I get it, and it's that's definitely that is definitely more a stigma of modern game design in which they show a lot of like cinematic trailers. They show a lot. They don't really. It's unfortunate that we never really get like yeah you're completely right. We never get exactly the just flat out reveal with gameplay trailer. It usually doesn't happen that. Usually we get the teaser, then we get the cinematic trailer, then we get the other cinematic trailers, or we get other little things, and then gameplay comes a lot later, which is unfortunate because that gives you the bigger like it gives you the clear idea of what you're going to be the end product is going to be which I
exactly,
mm-hmm,
and that's the problem, right? Is that now okay?
mm-hmm,
Look at what's this stupid game called Watch Dogs, right? This is a game that
right
was announced with gameplay, and
right
then they showed gameplay that built people's expectations, and when the game came out, the game didn't live up to those expectations, right?
right
Now we
yeah
have we're promoting games with CGI trailers that are supposed to build people's expectations. Like we're looking at these trailers and we have all these different ideas of what this game is going to be.
mm-hmm,
Then because we've been waiting for so long, we build up these expectations, and the game comes out and it's absolutely nothing. It's absolutely
mm-hmm.
nothing like what we okay, I'm going off the deep end here. Let
Right
me reel it
yeah
back a little bit. One thing I will say, I do like the aesthetic. I did like the suits that they had on.
mm-hmm,
I thought the suits were cool.
mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Other than that, like the everything else, I'm just like, okay, Kojima, can you show us something at some point? Is that a possibility, or are we asking too much to see some gameplay for this video game?
It's weird. It's weird, but it's like I understand where your frustration is coming from, but I guess I just don't feel it to the same degree. I don't know. Is it just because I'm more interested in like kind of like okay, what does this mean, and kind of think about it and try and like solve the puzzle. And I'm getting enjoyment out of that, whereas like you're more of the realist in the sense where it's like I want gameplay. I want to know what this game is going to be, how it's going to play, how the design is going to be, and I want it. But you're absolutely right in the sense, and I agree with you in this, is that, yes, I don't think they should have revealed another cinematic trailer. What they should have done is they should have done a gameplay trailer. Like, they really should have. I agree with you on that front. I just wasn't, like, I wasn't fuming or,
You
like...
weren't infuriated by it.
I wasn't infuriated by it. Because,
I mean,
but I can understand where that frustration is coming from. Yes.
yeah, but anyway, like I can do a whole podcast on this. So so yeah, the other, I mean, those are the three main things that were shown at the VGA.
I was going to say that it's like because as much as like I get your frustration with the Death Stranding trailer, the trailer that I was the most frustrated with was not Death Stranding. It was From Software. And if you want to talk about nothing in comparison, that was nothing. That was literally the most nothing thing. And my hope was that they were going to do this at the VGAs because we're going to actually see a real trailer at the PlayStation Experience. But spoiler alert, that didn't happen. So you know the frustration you had with Death Stranding? My frustration was with From Software because that was the most. You literally didn't give us a title. you gave us an image, and that is it. It wasn't even like an interesting image. It was a bone and a corkscrew. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, it's Bloodborne 2, because it's like shadows come twice, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, it's probably Bloodborne 2. But why wouldn't they just... There's so many more interesting ways you can tease a game than what you guys did, so it's kind of like... so that's where my frustration was coming on, because I was getting frustrated, because like From Software has released some pretty decent trailers for their games, and I'm like, this is like a really low bar.
Yeah, like that situation right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what was the point? What was the actual point of that trailer? Oh, we're working on something. Well, no shit, you're working on something. What, do we think you're just sitting around, sitting on your hands this whole time? Bloodborne came out in 2015. Of course, you're working on something.
Yeah.
You know, like for me, I was just like, okay, literally, so the trailer starts, we see that stupid thing, and then I see From Software. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good, and then bam, that's the end of that. I'm like, that is such a stupid and pointless trailer. Such a stupid and pointless trailer.
I got more out of the Death Stranding trailer than I did from that, because that was like, there wasn't, I couldn't even, but that's what I mean, is like, I literally couldn't even, I couldn't even glean anything from that. Like nothing, like literally nothing was gained from that. They could have just showed, honestly, if they had showed Darkness and at least the title of the game, I could have gotten more from that.
So here's the thing, right? Now people are like, okay, this is probably Bloodborne 2, right?
Yeah.
Now say this time next year they reveal the game and it's actually Tenchu, right? The people who, okay, so here's the thing, expectations versus reality, right?
Yeah.
A new Tenchu game is something to be excited for. But a new Tenchu game, when you are expecting a new Bloodborne game, is a disappointment.
Yes.
Period, right?
Yeah, period.
And this is why I hate trailers like this. You know, like that right there encapsulates everything I hate about these kinds of trailers. Because you set expectations, but then you set false expectations.
Right.
People look at that and then they sit down and they start breaking down the trailer and they start speculating, oh, what does this mean? What does this mean? Okay, it's probably Bloodborne. It's definitely Bloodborne. Oh, wait, actually it's Tenchu. Oh, no, actually it's Armored Core.
That's my favorite. I saw somebody post that in the comments and I fucking lost it. It's Armored Core. How? Oh god.
Well, clearly, if you look at the bone under the right angle, you can see that. I don't know. Yeah. I honestly don't know.
Oh, I will say before we move on from these two trailers, the one thing that did make me laugh and I thought was kind of a cool little Easter egg in the Death Stranding trailer. There's a little keychain on one of the containers that Ritus is carrying, and it has the Kojima logo on it. Like, it has the Kojima Productions logo, which I thought was like a kind of cool little Easter egg. But there was more than that. A couple things. Sea of Thieves got a release date.
Yeah, Sea of Thieves got a release date. It's coming March 2018.
So that's cool, because I'm very interested, because this is like one of the few titles that I think Microsoft is actually trying to push. So it's nice to see them at least attempt to push something for a change.
Yeah, Microsoft. Those guys are a thing. I've forgotten they existed because they just don't show anything. They just don't.
And they don't show anything and they cancel games. That's what they do. But what we did get a much better showing of was Dreams. We got a much better trailer than what I'm used to getting from Dreams. And you want to talk about my confusion of not understanding how that game is going to play. Now I have a much better idea of how I think Dreams is going to play. After that, I basically, I'm like, okay, this is essentially what it's going to be, a developer toolkit. I think how it's going to work to simplify it is that they're going to have like almost like what is it? It's kind of like tiles to a certain extent, where it's when you start a level, you choose: do you want this game to be a first-person like game? Do you want this game to be a side-scroller, or do you want this game to? You know what I mean? You're gonna probably pick a style, and then you're gonna build from that. So that's what I'm expecting. I actually did like the trailer a lot, and I'm glad that they're smart in the sense where it's like, yes, we built our own levels so that you're not relying on the community to give you AAA
Content.
content because some levels in like Little Big Planet, for example, were really really good, and then there's other ones that are just complete horse shit. So that was nice to see. But yeah, that was basically it for the VGAs. I think the VGAs overall was pretty good this year. I think it was a much more consistent show this year.
Yeah, it was a really consistent show. My highlight
Mhm.
of the night, though, was when the developer, what was his name again? The dude who's making that game for EA with the two brothers. Okay, so this EA guy, he I can't remember the name of the game that he's making. But it's irrelevant. He's like an indie developer and he's making like a little mini game for EA, but that's irrelevant. So he comes on stage and he curses up a storm. Then he stops and he turns to Jeff Keighley and he's like, "Am I allowed to curse?" And I'm like, "Well, it's a little late for that now, isn't it?" But the funniest part was that you could just see Jeff Keighley. So Jeff Keighley's like, "Yeah, you can curse," and then he starts like cursing. He's like, "Yo, fuck the Oscars. This is the real shit right here." And you can see Jeff Keighley just visibly uncomfortable.
So the best part about that is that there's a moment where Jeff Keighley just stares at the ground and he realizes the moment he said that he just like opened the floodgates and he's just like shit.
And he keeps trying to talk about the guy's game, but the guy is he's this dude was either drugged or on coke or both, because this dude was on something.
Yeah, he was nuts.
And then he's like, "Oh yeah, EA, like this doesn't have any of that loot box bullshit." But you know what? But wait. Then he's like that. But you know what? I know it's cool to like hate on EA right now, but EA has been good to me. They've given me like complete creative control, and like I'm never gonna hate on EA and stuff like that. So I thought that was an interesting other side to the story, but screw EA anyway.
Well, it's funny because it's like
yeah,
you know what it's funny him saying that. It makes me think that there's probably people who work for EA that they aren't a fan of when shit like Battlefront happens, because then it's like, oh, you work for EA, ugh, and it's like, but that's how I make my living. And it's kind of like there's probably really good developers and people who work at EA who are not happy when shit like Battlefront happens. So when they go out and say, "Hey, listen, like I know it's popular to hate on EA right now, but I'm happy." So I can understand. I understand where I understand the point he was trying to make, but he was so all over the place that it was just like, oh god, just stop, please.
Yeah. And I mean, and to touch on your point, look at the Unravel guy. Like, I'm sure that guy, as much as he's probably doesn't support what EA is doing right now, and he can only hate EA so much because EA helped him make a dream come true. Like, just thinking back to that dude's stage presentation, it just looked. You could just see the passion, and this looked like a dream come true, making that Unravel game. So so yeah, that's an interesting point. But yeah, all in all, it's really funny coming into this podcast. I thought this was gonna be like one of those pretty packed podcasts. I was gonna have to be like 2 hours because the VGAs were happening and then PSX was happening. Right. But I'm just
hey, guess what? It's probably because we haven't actually mentioned any awards.
Yeah, no. But what I'm getting at is that the reason why we haven't touched on PSX yet is because nothing happened at PSX.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's the point. Okay, gotcha.
Actually, nothing happened at PSX. They showed the same Soul Calibur trailer. They showed a new Blaze Blue trailer that revealed absolutely no new characters. They showed they recycled Soba. They showed the same trailer for Ghost of Tetsuma. Yeah. Then they come out and they announced Medieval Remaster is coming.
That was probably the most interesting thing to come out of that.
They showed the exact same Death Stranding trailer because they were like, "Wow, you enjoyed watching it the first time."
Oh man, I wish I was there to see you. I wish I was there to see that because you probably lost your shit.
And then Hideo Kojima comes on stage and he's just talking to what's his name for like 15 minutes about nothing. They're like, "Oh yeah, so what did you have for breakfast today?" He's like, "Oh, I had some toast," and I'm like, "Wow." This is
guys,
right?
toast is going to be an integral mechanic to Death Stranding. Write this down. We got it here.
But anyway, that's about enough enough. That's about enough about PSX because I'm not gonna put any more effort into talking about that show that Sony put into producing it. So
Yeah.
so as far as the awards, it was a pretty interesting night overall. There weren't any major surprises. Most of the games that won, you pretty much were
Mm-hmm.
pretty much expected. Best soundtrack, I was like either Persona or Nier.
Yeah,
Nier
near
won.
one. Yes, I was.
Best art
Yeah.
direction, I was like Cuphead.
Yeah.
How Cuphead is going to win? They should have even bothered nominating anybody else. And
I
sort of,
I, 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 I mentioned off recording that I was bummed out because as soon as I saw Cuphead next to Persona, I was like, that sucks because it's like Persona doesn't even stand a chance, but it really does deserve it because the art direction in Persona 5 is fantastic. But yes, Cuphead is like it's like the animation in Cuphead is astounding and it's perfect.
Yeah, Persona had 4 nominations. It walked away with 1 win. So that wasn't the greatest, but
well, I mean, honestly, I was bummed out to see it get like kind of get shafted, even though it got nominated all those times. But at the same time, it's like I don't think Persona. I don't think this is the first time I think Persona has gotten this much like talk. I guess like it's sort of a niche title to a certain extent. So seeing it at like the VGAs at like a big event like this was really exciting. So I'm glad it did win an award. Particularly, it won Best Role Playing Game, which I was like, yeah, of course, that makes sense. Yeah.
The funny thing is that you mentioned how this is the first time Persona has gotten this much recognition at an award show. It's probably because when Persona 4 came out, the Video Game Awards didn't exist. So
that's true. That is true. Yeah, and it's funny because this was when I was thinking about that, I had this like fever dream memory in which I remember when Game Trailer still existed, and this was like in 2007, right, when I was on Game Trailers. And I remember watching like the video. There was like a little like video that was best games of the year, and I think Persona 3 was on that list as far as like best story, and stuff like that. And I remember and then we were just like this, and Jeff Keighley, I think, was narrating the video, and he at the time, and he was like, "Yeah, this weird anime game in which you point guns at your head and you summon demons," and I'm like, "That sounds weird as shit." So that was a fun little moment I had. What else? Best score. Okay. The other game that took me by surprise because it sweeped a bunch of awards was Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. It won.
We walked away with it tied for the most award wins with Cuphead and Breath of the Wild at 3.
Yeah. It got best audio design. It got best game. It got games for impact, and then got best performance. Which was definitely interesting because I don't think she expected to win.
No, she didn't. She came up there and you could just hear the shock and the passion in her voice when she came up there because she was like, this isn't even her job. She's the editor for the company because this was an independent game. An independent game. They wanted to make an independent game that had like AAA production values. That was their goal out the gates. So on one hand, excuse me. While the game is definitely not for me, I'm happy to see them get rewarded for trying to do something different.
Yeah.
What makes me laugh, though? Well, not laugh. What made me kind of sad was Horizon. So you talk about how Persona got shafted. Persona had 4 nominations. It walked away with 1 win. Yeah. Horizon had 6 nominations, 0 wins. It lost at every single thing that it was nominated for. And what makes it kind of funny and kind of sad is that there's nothing that it lost that you were like, oh, it got robbed. Because best art direction, it lost that to Cuphead. It was never going to win.
It was never going to win.
Game of the Year, it lost that to Zelda. It was never going to win.
Yeah.
It was never going to win Game of the Year over Zelda. The games were too similar. And if you have 2 games that are similar as these 2, Zelda is always going to win out.
Well, it was also like they were both they were both sandboxy titles, and like there was a lot going on for Breath of the Wild. Not to knock on what Horizon was doing. Horizon is still a really good game, but like the stuff that Breath of the Wild was doing was insane. As someone who has like played it like thoroughly.
Best game direction, lost that to Zelda as well. The only one that you could maybe make a case for is best performance because apparently Aloy was a very, very nice protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the only one that you could make a case for. Everything else that it lost like best action adventure. I mean, there was no. I mean, it lost that to Zelda as well. So yeah. And then it also lost best soundtrack, I think, and it was never going to beat Nier. It was never going to beat Nier.
No, it wasn't going to beat Nier, and it sure as hell wasn't going to beat Persona.
Oh wait, it wasn't nominated. My bad. It wasn't nominated for best score. Let me just quickly see what its last nomination was for. But I mean, like it's on one hand it does kind of suck, but best narrative it lost that to What Remains of Edith Finch. And then so that's all 6 there.
Yeah.
So Persona. I mean, Horizon kind of got shafted. Oh, Destiny got nominated for 6 too. I don't know how Destiny got 6 nominations.
I feel like that was like a round off thing because it's like I have a buddy who he feels so burnt out by Destiny because it wasn't really what he wanted, and it's interesting how like there's like such a split even in the even people who liked Destiny 1 seem very split about Destiny 2. So it's very odd. Although I was hilarious. I was laughing my ass off when they were showing like little gameplay snippets of Battlefront 2. I was like, who the fuck did they think that was smart? Just a bunch of golf claps.
To quickly touch on Destiny 2, we can't even get into this on this podcast. This is probably be for another podcast. There's actually a lot of controversy. Going around Destiny 2 right now because they released some DLC that there is an expansion pack that locked end game content away from people.
Yeah, my buddy was talking about that. How it's like completely fucked the meta to a certain extent.
Yeah, exactly. So let's not even touch on that because that could add an extra hour onto this podcast. But
the only other awards. Sorry to cut you off. Was the only other awards that will maybe briefly best fighting game Injustice 2. It doesn't really matter, but it's like I mean
next year's best fighting games
will matter
because it's gonna be Dragon Ball Fighters versus Soul Calibur versus that new Blaze Blue game. So
it's gonna be Dragon Ball. It better fucking be. And then finally, most anticipated was Last of Us Part 2, which that makes sense. Sorry. What were you gonna say before I cut you off?
Nothing at all. All in all, it was a really good show. Very good show. Good reveals. Good awards. I don't feel like anybody really got robbed. I wish Persona 5. I really want Persona 5 to win Game of the Year, but
I wanted it too, but I was looking up what it was against, and I was like, it's gonna probably be Breath of the Wild because I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Because it's also like, what game does the general video gaming audience enjoy the most? And like, it's like, as much as I wanted Persona 5 to win, it was like Persona 5 is still a niche anime game. As much as it's probably the most successful niche anime game to come out in years, but at the same time, it's still a niche anime game. But I was glad to see it nominated. But honestly, it was like, I didn't feel robbed because it was like, oh, Breath of the Wild, I love that game. That game's fantastic. So it's like, I didn't, and it was also really nice because I think this was Nintendo's first win for the VGAs in general.
What?
Yeah. No, for video game awards. Huh. No, I'm not. They probably won Game of the Year like years ago. Yeah, of course. But I'm saying like for the VGAs, since the VGAs have been going on since I want to say 2008-ish. This is their first.
I'm actually just scrolling through right now. Yeah, I mean, as far as the Game Awards are concerned, this was their first win. I'm not gonna go all the way back through all the VGAs to figure out if this was their first one, but this is their first win in since 2014. So whatever. Yeah. We'll just we'll just meet halfway there.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, did you want to get into our question of the day?
Yes. This question is very interesting considering what we've been talking about for the last 30 minutes. Is Cuphead a Game of the Year contender?
I mean, now obviously it wasn't at the Game Awards, but for me, I feel like, and this is something that this is something I wanted to touch on with the game with the when we're talking about the awards themselves. But I figured I'd just save it because of the question of the day.
Okay, yeah.
So one of my biggest pet peeves is when people see the nominees and they're like, oh, this type of game shouldn't be nominated. Not because they think the game is bad, but because they don't think that type of game qualifies to be a game of the year. It happened with Hearthstone. People were like that. Oh, a free-to-play game shouldn't be game of the year. It happened with Overwatch. People were like, oh, a multiplayer-only game shouldn't be game of the year. And it happened this year with PUBG. When PUBG was announced, people were like, oh, the game is still in early access. It shouldn't be game of the year.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, none of that shit matters. None of that shit matters. Okay. I would play PUBG. But all I know is that game is popular. That game is popular, and people
it's certainly like even though it's difficult because I don't knock it being there nominated for sure. I don't knock it being a nominee, but I will say this: I probably would have been really frustrated if PUBG won because because it's like I understand I understand that if it won it would have made sense, but it's like I appreciate games for their art direction, their sound design, their narrative, other things like that. But no, but it should still be there, it should still have a chance, and it had a big impact in the game industry this year. Like that is undeniable.
And if it won, it wouldn't be a situation where it's like, oh, this doesn't. Okay, so here's the thing. Awards are subjective, 100% subjective. My game of the year is not your game of the year, and that's completely fine. That's completely fine. But if you say that Pokemon Go is your game of the year, I can't be like, no, that game doesn't qualify for game of the years. That is complete bullshit. So then to go off of that, to then segue into Jay Street's question, is Cuphead, ignoring the fact that Cuphead is an amazing game. Cuphead, for the mere fact that it is a video game, then it is a game, then I think it can qualify as a game of the year contender. Now, to then go into, do I think that Cuphead deserved to be
a game of the year?
If they had taken out PUBG and they had put Cuphead in there, I would have been like, that makes sense. Cuphead is an amazing game. Yeah. Based on its art style alone, Cuphead has the most unique art style I have seen in a very long time. Since Kirby's little
Epic Yarn. Kirby's Epic Yarn.
Yarn game. Yeah, it probably has the most unique art style I have seen since Kirby's Epic Yarn. And then it was an independent game. Kirby's Epic Yarn was made by Nintendo. This was made by 3 developers who had to remortgage their house to make this game. Yeah. And it has one of the most unique art styles. And whether or not you like the 1920s art style, the fact of the matter is they succeeded in replicating that art style. Whether you find that aesthetically pleasing is subjective, but they replicated it to perfection. Yes. With the screen tearing or whatever that term is, where it looks like the film is like scratchy.
Yeah, it's film grain. The fact that they were able to replicate the film grain, and the particular type of animation is rubber hose. That's what it said. That type of animation is called. But yeah, because it looks so authentic. It's shockingly authentic, and that's why absolutely Cuphead. And I feel that yes, you are right. Is that I think most games should. It's not a matter of whether it should be a game of the year contender. It's because it's like your game of the year will be different from mine. It'll be different from my buddies. It'll be different from Alex's and stuff like that. And I feel like every game should at least have a chance to be nominated. Yeah. I feel like that's perfectly fair. So yes, I completely agree. And it would have been interesting to see if Cuphead got game of the year. That would have been an interesting twist.
That would have never happened.
And that's the thing is that we're saying it wouldn't have never happened because, well, it's weird because I've always talked about what I particularly see as a really good video game experience. It has to be a good balance of art direction, design, narrative, music, score, presentation, overall gameplay feel. There's a lot of things that I feel craft a really good video game, at least one that I think is worthy of like a Game of the Year award, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
but there's some people that it's like I got more enjoyment playing Pokemon Go as a social game, as something that I could play with my friends and go out and into new environments and stuff like that. And that's what their perspective of what was the most fun that they could get out of a video game. So there's always going to be difference between what people see as far as like, you know, overall quality of what they want. But I mean, like, but yeah, absolutely. Just to answer the question, but yes, I definitely feel that was a great question, J Streets. Absolutely fantastic. But yeah, that was the VGAs. So we'll be. I don't know, when are we gonna do our own little video game, the Game Smash exclusive VGAs?
Game Smash exclusive. It'd probably be because I mean the year is winding down. Probably be the next podcast or the podcast after the next, because you know we have like 1 or 2 podcasts left in the year right now. We go on our Christmas break, so it'll probably be a couple of podcasts. Probably the next podcast, because I imagine next week is gonna be a bit of a slow news week. So it's still gonna be on the next on the next podcast. And this is our 4th anniversary now, because the PSX podcast. That's our anniversary podcast. Right?
Yeah, shit. Yeah, this is technically our 4th anniversary. So I'd like to thank everyone who stuck with us since the beginning. You know, we've had a lot of ups and downs, but I think we've overall gotten our craft down. Give or take. But yeah, no, thank you so much for listening to the podcast for the last 4 years, for those who have stayed, and any newcomers. Don't worry, we will keep up the quality content that you deserve. we do this for you.
This has been a bit of a rough year because I went back to school and Tanner started working full time. But you know, God willing, I'm graduating next year, so things will get a little more consistent. I have some plans for some cool content that I'm gonna be making for the channel. So look forward to that.
And the one thing that I'm excited for is that now that I have, because I recently moved, as I said in the beginning, I have much more control over how I can set up my recording systems. So now what I'm thinking of doing is I might be able to set up a PS4 like recording setup that is relatively easy to use. So you might see some PS4 videos coming in the future. Don't know when that's coming necessarily, because I still haven't actually finished unpacking yet. So we shall see. But hopefully we'll have a bunch of new creative content for the next year. And as always, this was your host, Aaron Liberty, and...
As Muhammad Yusuf.
And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.